Welcome to the Big Biz Show. Taking care of business. You want fast-talking, hard-hitting discussions on business and finance? Maybe with a barroom slant and some really salty peanuts? We're not counting calories. We're counting cash before we get to the man with the financial plan. Meet the money team. Costa, Mary, now Captain Finance himself, Sully.
Live from the Lavell Studios in sunny San Diego, California. Big Biz Show's on the air, and once again, we are lucky to have Mary Bird Godwin and myself and Mike Costa. Apparently thought Thanksgiving weekend started yesterday. So
he's already starting on the turkey.
Yeah, I think he's back next week. I know that he was going to take a few days off. I just can't believe how much time he takes off. I just said that out loud. Totally kidding. Jake Tardio here. What's up, boys?
Hey.
Good to see you.
A big old howdy to you.
Okay.
You got it in. You snuck it in there.
Howie, I don't know who said everybody there's a 10-day holiday, but Howie's gone today too.
Howie's off.
So, it's just the important people today.
I was going to say, the people that matter are here.
I will tell you, one of the people that matters, and I am so glad I got a chance to interview him, and we're going to have him on a regular basis. His name's Jason Tardio. He's a president, chief operating officer of a company called Immunic Therapeutics, IMUX. We talked to him just a few weeks ago.
Let's go ahead.
But they are developing a therapy in probably the biggest multiple sclerosis movement that you probably have ever seen. And it's really interesting. I've got a very, very close piece of this to my heart because my daughter has MS, so does my mom, and my daughter got it young enough to where she manages it. They got two different kinds.
I was going to say, is one relapsing and one's progressive?
No, my mom's progressive because I think it's just because she got it so old. Okay. But McKenna is living a regular life and goes in for an infusion a couple times a year. But let's not waste any more time and talk about that. Let's talk to the guy who knows about it. Jason, how are you, man? Thanks for coming back.
I'm wonderful. Thank you for having me.
I think I feel like I got my own MS therapy guy in my pocket.
That's great.
It's going to help us. Hey, can you, for the people that didn't hear your interview the last couple of times, just give an overview again what you guys are doing and how important this is and really what a breakthrough it is.
So Immunic Therapeutics is developing a late-stage molecule called vidofludimus calcium. This is an innovative approach to address the full spectrum of multiple sclerosis. Multiple sclerosis is a disease of both neuroinflammation and neurodegeneration. And there are 10, 15 or 20 or so available therapies today, but all of them address just the neuroinflammation associated with the disease. Nothing is addressing both neuroinflammation and neurodegeneration. And so our lead asset is called vidofludimus calcium. It's in a phase 3 program for relapsing forms of multiple sclerosis. And via its design, we hope that the medicine will be a solution for the full spectrum of multiple sclerosis.
It's, what's interesting is talk about where we're at now with current therapies and what this would change for those people having to live with multiple sclerosis.
Well, sure. As I've mentioned, there are 15 to 20 or so therapies available for one specific subset of the disease called relapsing multiple sclerosis. But that segment of the disease is not solved for. Patients continue to have disability progression, both physical and cognitive disability progression. And so there's a need for new and innovative approaches, again, that address both inflammation and neurodegeneration. The other subset of the disease is the progressive side, and they're specifically secondary progressive multiple sclerosis and primary progressive multiple sclerosis. And there's limited treatment optionality for that side of the disease. Only one approved therapy today for primary progressive MS. So lots of opportunity to address unmet need, and we hope with vidofludimus calcium that will do just that.
So Jason, I think you're in the phase 2 of that progressive therapy. Can you talk a little bit about that? The progressive MS,
this past spring, we reported a very exciting results from a phase 2 study called the Caliber trial, looking at the potential impact of vidofludimus calcium versus placebo in these progressed patient populations. And we showed very encouraging results on the clinical outcomes looking at reducing time to 24-week confirmed disability progression. We showed a 24% reduction for vita fluidinous compared to the total cohort of progressive patients. And then more specifically in the subset of progressive patients, a 31% benefit in primary progressive MS and roughly a 20% benefit in non-active secondary progressive MS. So very encouraging results.
You know, the data. Was it a surprise to you how efficacious this was? Is it better than you thought, or is it just about what you thought was going to happen?
Historically, most medicines completely fail in progressive forms of multiple sclerosis. So I'd be lying to you if I sat here and said that I was over the moon optimistic going into the data readout. We have always believed that we have a differentiated molecule. It activates a target called NER1, which we know provides neuroprotective benefits. So we always were encouraged about the biology and what could happen here. But I think anyone would be lying if they said that they expected the results that we saw. So we're very, very encouraged by these results.
You know, and once again, for the folks that need to understand the differentiation between what's currently here now, the experience I have is I've got my mom's taking medicine and my daughter's getting an infusion. Those are two separate types of MS. So that's, and I think that's where the market lies. How does that change? Assuming you guys have an NDA and it goes to commercialization.
Yeah. So again, as I've mentioned, there's a number of different options specifically for relapsing MS. Some of them are delivered via oral therapies like a pill or tablet. Others are self-injectables in which the patient has to inject themselves either subcutaneously or intramuscular. And then there are other medicines that are delivered via infusion. All of these medicines have different mechanisms of action, and ultimately they carry a different benefit-risk profile, right? And so ultimately, with any medicine or medicinal procedure that any of us embark upon, we're always weighing what's the potential benefit associated with this medicine and what may be the consequences from a safety perspective. And so all of these things are taken into consideration. And I think it's important to note that MS treatment is very personalized for each of the individual patient. The treating clinician will oftentimes take some time to meet with patients, understand what their goals are for therapy. And so you've mentioned your family, one member on an infusion, another on maybe a tablet at home. And that's very, very specific to what their needs were. With our medicine, it's a once-a-day tablet, so it's very convenient for patients. Yeah. Again, it has a unique mechanism of action that we think will address both facets of the disease. And we're strongly encouraged with the data to date and look very much forward to our phase 3 readout, which is scheduled for about a year's time in Q4 of next year.
Hey, Jason, before we let you out of here, I know it's an expensive game that you're in, the biotech world, and I've lamented here for the last 2 years that you guys in the biotech, biopharma industry have really suffered in 2023, 2024. We thought this was going to be the year, and it seems to be opening up. I mean, look, there's light at the end of the tunnel here, and I can't wait to see what happens at the JP Morgan Chase conference in January, what the outlook's going to be. But for you, how are you feeling in terms of runway, in terms of getting that phase 3 done, in terms of capital formation? Are those markets opening up a little easier than they were in the last couple of years for you?
It has been a rough couple of years for biotech, especially small cap biotech like us, but there are encouraging signs. The XBI index has been over 100 now for 6-7 weeks, which is a very encouraging signal. I think there are macroeconomic wins that are at our back now. I think some clarity on the FDA and what's happening there, some clarity on continued interest rate.
I appreciate you coming on, Jason Tardio.
Thanks, Jason.
IMUX is their ticker. You got to come back. Can't wait for you to come in studio and meet us at some point. But Immunic is the name of the company. That's encouraging. Much more coming up. Big Biz Show, bigbizshow.com. We'll see you in a minute. Thanks for staying with us. Big Biz Show, bigbizshow.com. Me and Mary got it held down today in the Day Trader Trio. No Howie, no Mike. Apparently,
the party started early.
Slack season started early. You know, there's a Slack party every year here in San Diego at a local pub down in Pacific Beach. It's called Beachcomber.
Oh yeah.
And they had it's called It's called the annual Slack party. It happens Wednesday night before Thanksgiving.
Oh, that's the
because
biggest.
that's the kickoff of Slack off season.
Yes.
That's what's called the Slack party.
That is the biggest party night of the year, is that Wednesday before Thanksgiving.
It's crazy because there's literally hundreds of people that pack into this little beach bar.
Oh, I remember that place.
And because it's and everybody wears Christmas Aloha shirts. That's the theme, because we're going into the season where everybody slacks off, apparently. So I'm so excited. Jennifer Ernst is here. She's co-founder and CEO of Tivic Health. You might remember they are a late-stage immunotherapeutics company with the radiation therapy.
Yeah.
They are at their manufacturing facility here in and they're on the air with us here, and we're going to get to talk to not only Jennifer, but Jennifer's also going to bring on her chief operating officer, Michael Handley. But let's step in. Jennifer, I'm so excited. You guys look at you. You've got the lab coat on, and you're right in the middle of everything. How are you?
Absolutely. I thought this was great. I told you before we wanted to get you inside of what a lab actually looks like.
Yeah.
So down here, we're in San Antonio, our manufacturing site for Entolimod. For the acute radiation syndrome, what we'll be using later for the neutropenia applications. This lab we're in right now is a process development lab. So I have someone with me, actually a couple people here. I'll just swing the camera around.
Sure.
Mike, who you just talked about, part of the team here at Scorpius.
It always makes me feel good when I get to talk to you CEOs, and I know you guys have stuff in the background. When I see the rank and file out there with lab blue coats and there's bubbles going on in the background, and you've got real lab work going, and it makes the rest of the world know that you're saving lives. I think that's a good thing. Michael, nice to meet you, and I know you're chief operating officer there. Can you just give us an overview there of this type of facility and what goes on there? And is this where the final product will be made once this thing is, look, NDA's out there. You guys are so close to commercialization. Is this where the final sort of packaging plant is, so to speak?
Spot on. Yeah. Thanks for your time, and I appreciate your interest in this drug. This drug is a very unusual drug. It has a lot of effects that can benefit mankind. We're really excited to be down here with our manufacturing partner. And this particular facility that we're at in Texas is capable of producing enough product for commercialization. So we're down here working with our partners at the manufacturing site, looking forward to taking the next steps. There's a couple steps without getting too detailed as far as validation of the process and then scale the process. And we hope within probably the next 12 months, we should be able to produce our first, what we would call our GMP, good manufacturing process batch. That will allow us to test that and use that for human and BLA filings, which is the FDA filing for the drug.
Michael Handley is the Chief Operating Officer of Tivic Health, and their ticker symbol TIVC. I got a question for you in regards to, obviously when we hear this, we've heard the story and we brought this to our audience of 80 million people and plus across the world and American Forces Network as well. And I think the one thing we think about is supply availability when you start talking about military. Right, that's a big customer. Are you guys in place for that, or will there be multiple facilities like this to sort of handle as the need comes?
We're actually, great question. We're actually really well positioned. The amount of drug that we need per soldier is very, very small. It's a very small dose, and because of that, the expression system that we use can create enough protein in a single run to dose millions of patients, millions of soldiers. So.
The one question I have too is this, and I think this is something we have to think about. This is not just for the U.S. You have created something here, and look at we've every nightmare story you hear about radiation. Most of them are not in the U.S. and most of them are not having to do with U.S. personnel. They're across the world. Is this the type of technology that you can license, or is this technology you sell outright to other countries and other medical sort of infrastructures elsewhere?
So without getting into anything confidential, we can definitely sell product to outside countries, Ukraine, South Korea, Taiwan, other countries that have potential to have nuclear events. Unfortunately, Middle East is another one. So these particular potential clients, would be interested in potentially buying this drug from us, given U.S. approval and federal government approval.
Sure.
Hey, I know we've talked on the show about Entolimod and what it does, but you being the guy with the lab coat and the glasses, the scientist behind it, can you tell us a little bit more about what it does and how it works?
Yeah, so in layman's terms, it's a protein. activates a receptor in the human body that protects the bone marrow, and it also protects the GI tract from radiation exposure, if that makes sense. That's as about lay terms as I can get.
That's perfect for me, yeah.
Hey, back to Jennifer Ernst. Jennifer Ernst is a co-founder and CEO. Jennifer, I love it when you talk about what happens to the rest of us. This is beyond military, and the applications, beyond the military countermeasures. What is there a market for that? Is that something that we need to have on hand, just like we have vaccines on hand and so on and so forth?
Well, before we step onto that, I wanted to make sure you knew about, just last week we announced that we've scheduled a BARDA Tech Watch meeting. So really important as part of moving the process forward with the U.S. government, with the military, with our initial customer base we're looking at, is the BARDA meeting.
And that's the Administration for Strategic Preparedness, I think, is that's what it's called. And I think that's a huge piece of this thing moving forward because it operates with the U.S. Department of Health, correct?
Absolutely. And then also talking about for the rest of us, as you know, radiation damage, chemotherapy also can damage the bone marrow, the GI tract. We've talked about before the importance of being able to potentially protect, but also mitigate the effects of those treatments. Mm-hmm. Michael's background, just as filling in the gaps here, was part of launching Neupogen, Neulasta, launching some of the drugs that are actually in that category and being used commonly today. So really excited about being able to do this dual use type technology where we have the military applications, the military countermeasures, and the opportunity for the civilian use cases.
Jennifer, as a co-founder, it's got to be exciting standing in there, knowing that where you started, that glimpse of an idea that you guys had several years ago, saying, I think we could. There's a science here, and now you guys are literally at the 5-yard line, so to speak. I mean, if you look at the arc of the story for most biotech companies, a lot of them don't get here, and this is really, really, you're right there. Is it exciting for you guys? What are you looking forward to most here for the next 6 months? Because I can tell just by talking to you, you're pretty excited about being in the lab.
In a lab, I think both of us have that shared scientific piece of it. And yeah, I mean, I founded the company, but I got the opportunity to license this technology in at a very late stage. So there was a lot of work that went before us, building on the shoulders of giants here as we're taking it to that final last leg of the race. So yeah, what I'm excited about, I think what both of us would say we're excited about, I hope Brian over here will say he's excited about too, is being able to get across the finish line. I mean, get this into market, get it into its application cases. We talk about harnessing the immune system to improve outcomes and save lives, and that's spot on what this drug can do.
Love it. Jennifer, thank you so much. I appreciate you taking the time. I know you guys are busy. It was really great. I want to send a camera crew out there next time with you guys.
Yeah.
That's what's over there. Jennifer Ernst, CEO and co-founder, of course, Tivic Health. Let's not forget Michael Handley, the Chief Operating Officer, harnessing the immune system to improve outcomes and save lives. Thanks, guys. More Big Biz coming up. Stand by. From the Loft 100 studios here in sunny San Diego, California. It's the Big Biz Show. I'm Sully. That's Mary Burt Godwin. That's the Day Traders trio up there on the stage. Mike Costa out for the day. But what we do have is Lavell Malloy, CEO and co-founder of Bragg House, stock symbol TBH, and boy, the #1 home for casual college gamer. But it's much more than that because he's amassed. He has. I should say, directed a whole affinity group of people in a certain age group towards a confluence of culture and capital is what he calls it. So my good friend Lavell. Lavell, I have to say, we talked about last week sort of, the problem and the secret sauce of what you're doing here. And for the folks who didn't get a chance to talk to you, your vision is to bridge culture and capital, where you've built this company based upon, it's almost like Steve Forbes who says, if you want to be successful, find a need and fill it. Well, you guys amassed it. Can I tell you, as a band, the reason that at age 65, I got to sign a second record deal and I'm going on 25, 26 tour dates next year at this age, is because we gamed the system. And how we gamed the system was we had good music, but even more than that, You can't make it in the music business unless you can find someone to buy a ticket to see you. It's called a hard ticket sale. So what did we do, Mary? We went to charities like Challenge Athletes Foundation. We filled a room with people that would buy a ticket automatically. So we already had an automatic audience. You had an automatic audience in this gamer situation. And you literally reverse engineered a business into that. It was brilliant. It really was, because it wasn't about finding the people that come be your customers. You knew what the customers were. You just had to find a need that they need and fill that need, right? That's really how the game was played in the beginning, correct?
Yeah, no, I think that's spot on. I think what you see so much is you see people trying to sell to a specific fan base, and they're saying, great, 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 great. And you're right. It's like we said, hey, there's already a built-in community here. And it's on the intersection of college sports, gaming, and social interaction. So we just filled that void. And I think the other really important thing we did, that we showed that community loyalty is really a tangible asset. And I think that's so important, because when more people learn that and learn how we took that as an asset, now it has value. And that's why we're able to kind of use that and market that.
You know, the thing that you've mentioned last week or the time before was when your audience started saying to you, teach us everything, you knew you had them, right? Wasn't that the tipping point where you came and you knew the audience, you offered them something, and again, define a need and fill it. You offered them something that they didn't have, but you knew they needed, and all of a sudden they were like sponges, right? In terms of wanting what you had.
It was a very humbling moment too, because you have all these executives of Coca-Cola and McDonald's, and we're like, yeah, me and my co-founder Daniel, we're like, we're ready to go, we're ready to pitch. And they're like, no, teach us, and we'll pitch to the entire corporate board of McDonald's, and we'll tell them that this works.
Well, that was the corner of digital engagement to digital ownership. Right? I mean, isn't that what you talk about? Isn't that the why that which is next on the spectrum here? It's moving from the digital engagement, which we're all trying to get, to digital ownership. I mean, and I think that's something that I've never even heard of before. Talk about that piece of it for us.
Yeah, so it's the next evolution, and I'm really glad you asked that question, because I get asked about it a lot. And really, we use this new commodity, this fan loyalty, community loyalty, and we've given them everything, their experiences, because they're valuable in our media tech platform. Now the next evolution, and why we really value this merger, is they're gonna have ownership in teams, ownership in things that they do. And the reason why that's important is because this ownership is something that they wouldn't have before. It's not, it's only a select few have this type of ownership. So creating that new financial scale, and I think big, but we've done it already with what the hardest audience there is creating this new way to adopt finance. And now they're going to have that ownership to be able to do that, and they want to. And that's it's meeting them where they are, and that's how you bring it to capital.
Well, mentioning finance, that just reminds me, we've talked a little bit about your collaboration with House of Doge. Can you just talk about how that is influencing the payment infrastructure and how that's changing the face of what you're doing?
That's an excellent question. So, a lot of people, I think people, they see, one of the largest cryptos, they see this $30 billion market cap, but I'm a very fundamental person. It's from my compliance background, from my securities law background. What they're building is payment processing, so they can have utility and create, and have more use inside currency, tokenization, branding. It's an entire ecosystem. So if you can build a payment processing center, that the equivalence of a Visa, of a MasterCard, if you can put a tokenization, which, BlackRock, Blackstone have said they, all embracing, even the NASDAQ, if you put those things in it, but, the only difference is now you're back, the utility that you're using is a $30 billion currency, those are fundamentals. You're not saying, hey, we're just putting all this on your balance sheet. We're saying, no. This is what Gen Z, what other people already use, these digital things, the Venmos, everything. Let's adopt that into finance. That was my vision as soon as I started hearing about that. And I'm like, let's build out these vertical rails. And that's what it is, building out these huge rails with comparables that are, $1 trillion markets. Build that in. And the only reason why it's even in the realm of the word come crypto is because that is utility that's there. But if you have payment of any currency throughout all colleges, throughout everywhere, that's a huge huge thing.
This is what I'm talking about, how you reverse engineered an audience that already existed. What it makes me think, though, is because you have a proprietary advantage, Lavell, is that you could do this with other affinity groups. Okay,
Correct.
let's just say military, for example, since we're on American Forces Network. There's a common need in military for consumer finance. There's a common need in military for debt restructure. There's a common need in different areas of the country, not just college students, but let's talk about postgrads who can't find a job. I mean, if you can identify the affinity groups, can't you take your model and overlay that into, with not necessarily in gaming, but in other industries, correct? Isn't that that's the secret sauce here, right?
Very, very easily. Very easily. And I think that's when I call it a playbook, that's exactly what we're doing. We're taking something which, was a meme, and we're saying, hey, let's make it, what's the void? What's the reason why? Adoption. Make this adopted. And how do you adopt it? You put in all of these rails to make sure it's used everywhere, globally, sports teams. These are the ways that you put in. So it's exactly right. It's taking exactly that. And, I honestly, someone would ask me this question. They said, can you think of an industry that couldn't benefit from that? And I can't think of an industry that couldn't benefit from that playbook.
I always keep you longer than I tell you I am. Just steal your time from you without permission, and because it's national TV. But I have to ask you before you let you out of here, why is there no competition for this? I mean, I know that you're a genius. I'm not just saying that because I like you. But I mean, you are. I think I can illustrate, even in our conversations that we have here on air, that how just different this is. I'm so surprised that someone hasn't cracked this code. There is a competitive moat, as you describe it, using your own parlance, to where it just doesn't exist. Talk about that just for a minute before we let you out of here today.
So the short answer is, I just think that people are kind of stuck to their ROIs. People are still under the impression that you can't make anything new. It's just built off other stuff. And I never had that mentality. I think if you have a problem and you can find a solution, that's valuable.
I love it. Lavell Malloy is his name. He's the CEO, co-founder of Bragg House. TBH is their stock symbol. Every time we have this kid on.
Love him.
And I hate to call him a kid in terms of this pat him on the head kid. Yeah. But he is a punkrepreneur like Howie. He's making us all look bad. Making us all look old, but no, seriously. Really, really interesting stuff.
Yeah.
Can't wait to see more of it. Big Biz Show, bigbizshow.com. We continue. Stand by. We're right back. Loft 100 Studios, The Big Biz Show, and our affiliates and our hosts are not registered investment advisors or broker-dealers.
Our show hosts make no commitment that the purchase of securities of companies profiled or otherwise mentioned in our programming
are suitable or advisable for any person, or that an investment in such securities will be profitable in general.
Given the nature of the company's profile and the lack of an active trading market for the securities, investing is highly speculative and carries a certain high degree of risk.
We profile selected publicly traded and privately held companies on our program.
Most of these companies that we profile have provided compensation to Loft 100 Studios and its hosts for the profile coverage.
From time to time, we sell shares of the companies profiled in the open market that we receive as compensation for coverage of client companies.
But never sell stocks if we are speaking about interviewing or covering a public company who has paid compensation.
Specific questions on compensation can be obtained by contacting producer at sullyentgroup.com.
Listeners should verify all claims and do their own due diligence before investing in any securities mentioned on this program.
Investing in securities is speculative and carries a high degree of risk.
We encourage our investors to invest carefully and read the investor information available at the websites on the
Securities and Exchange Commission at sec.gov and or the Financial Industry Regulatory Authority, FINRA, at www.finra.org.
I like it.
Hey, is that a rescue plane?
Sully, that's Mary Godwin. That's the Day Trader Trio live from the Loft 100 Studios here in sunny San Diego, California. We're brought to you by Prudential. Let Prudential be your rock for retirement. Also brought to you by Bayer Advanced, better science, better results. Starbucks Coffee, Lumen Brands, and of course Taylor Guitars. Thank you, friends. My good buddy Nick Liuzza, CEO of Beeline Holdings, NASDAQ company with the stock ticker symbol BLNE, joins us with a pretty significant press release that came out yesterday, talking about the fact that Beeline, which is a fintech mortgage lender, which is built on a lending platform for millennials and Gen Z, which are 100 million strong cohort. You guys hit cash flow positivity in October. That's a huge milestone for a young company. Great to see you, Nick. What's going on, man?
Hey guys, good to see you. And it's actually 140 million between Gen Z and
wow.
So a little bigger.
It's so good when you I remember interviewing Steve Forbes, and we have interviewed him a number of times. Remember the first time he was on the air, and he was saying the key to success in business is find a need and fill it. And I'll tell you, that's exactly, you guys reverse engineered into an affinity group that is so strong that probably the worst part of, for Millennial and Gen Z was going through the economic kind of torture that they went through during the Great Recession and recently. Yeah. And now you guys are bringing back mortgages to where it seems like it's an addressable market. Talk about some of the exciting stuff since we talked to you last week, because I think...
Yeah, look, we're making it fun. I mean, we really are. We're addressing a huge demographic, and there's nothing worse than going through a mortgage application and going through the whole painful process and finding out you're denied, right? Yeah. That's diminishing returns. That does nothing for anyone, right? And so we are completely different, right? Because not only are we offering conventional mortgages like the big mortgage lenders, but we also are packaging our services and our point of sale and our technology around mortgages that are more popular for the gig economy, like bank statement loans and DSCR loans where you don't even have to state your income to qualify for these mortgages, right? And so now you go through our process and our AI will say, hey, Sully, let's give you a conventional mortgage because that's the cheapest money. But if we can't, and it looks like we can't, I'm just using an example here, then our AI would direct you to another suite of products, ask you another set of questions, and all in about 7 minutes, and then give you 90% certainty as to whether or not you're going to qualify for a mortgage any time of day, 24/7, 365. And then, you can blow up our chatbot right there on the spot, who's very sophisticated, to answer all your questions. And, the game is changing for mortgage. And we're leading. I think we're leading the.
That's the difference between you and a conventional mortgage company, is because a regular mortgage company offers conventional loans, but don't really take the gig economy into perspective. I mean, that's really the tiebreaker for you, because once you can sort of do a hybrid deal to where you've got a stated income or you've got a self-employed individual in that gig economy, you can't ignore the gig economy. Gig economy now is a $14 billion economy, and that's just for the first half of 2026 predicted. That's just in the U.S. That's something you can't deny. I mean, that's real income, correct?
Yeah, it is, man. And look, we're trying to solve the next problem, right? Which is, how do we get these millennials and Gen Z the ability to buy homes, earlier in life? Like the average home buyer is like almost 40 years old, right? Just a few years ago, it was 33 years old. It's becoming a lot more difficult to buy your first home than it ever has. You would think it would be getting easier, but it's getting harder. So, we're on the verge of introducing some really cool stuff. And remember, we're one of the few, maybe the only mortgage lender that has a product, an equity product. It's also addressing the baby boomers, right? It leverages the blockchain to create equity, to create liquidity by selling equity in your home. And so that's another thing that we're doing that I don't see other mortgage lenders doing. And the benefit to that product is that the maturity on the sale of equity it's a sale of equity, right? You don't pay it back until you sell your property, whenever that is. Yeah. So we're doing some pretty cool stuff that the field is not doing, and I think it's going to pay off for us in 2026 in a big, big way.
I think so too. Mike Logozzo is his name, CEO, Beeline Holdings. BLNE is the stock symbol.
Yeah, speaking of 2026, I was going to say, we're just at the point where it's like, okay, talk to you next year. We're checking out what you call it this.
Yeah, you notice Mike's not here. Yeah, Howie's not here. I mean, we're down to a skeleton staff. I didn't know the whole month was off.
So besides this fractional equity product, which I think is fascinating and does differentiate you, what are some of the other things you're looking forward to in the new year?
Well, look, I think that's a really good question. I think what we're looking for is for the market to continue to normalize a bit, right? It's been very choppy, and it hasn't been pleasant for the past 3.5, 4 years for anybody in the mortgage business, and people in the business that are listening know what I'm talking about. So I'm looking forward to the market normalizing and seeing that conversion ratio for conventional mortgages go up, right? Because when the conventional mortgage is sizzling, the whole economy is sizzling, and everyone's in a better spot. So what I'm looking most forward to is a normal mortgage market. So and that's an indication of, okay, the economy has arrived and we're ready to take the next step as a whole in terms of inflation, the economy, et cetera.
Is it looking like it's going that way, or is that just what we're keeping our fingers crossed?
Yeah, look, I mean, some people say it's fool's gold. Some people say it's optimism, but I'm looking at what's happening with our numbers, and we're seeing more applications come in. We're seeing more conversions happening. We're seeing sort of we're seeing that affordability thing, even though it's 40 years old. Since we're seeing more people apply and more people convert and qualify, that to me is a leading indicator that indicates that it's not fool's gold. It's looking like it is going to normalize next year. And so, if I had to bet, I would put my money on it normalizing and it being a better market next year than what it is.
Well, I think, a piece of that is, Nick, with you guys coming up with your fractional equity products, you guys are, you're cash flow positive. You've got, I mean, the future is really bright here. And I think for you guys, next time you're on the air, I want to talk about fractional project because that's a really unique sort of product. We'll talk about that next week. His name is Nick Liuzza, CEO of Beeline Holdings, BLNE. I'll tell you what, you're fighting a good fight there with respect to getting mortgages for this huge cohort. What do you say, 140 million?
Yeah.
Something else. Thanks, Nick. Appreciate it. Big
million, yep.
And a lot of them are gig economy.
You got it. The gig economy used to mean that you couldn't even report it on your income because, and these guys are making it so that this whole group is able to. What a show! Big Biz Show continues. I'm Sully, that's Mary Burt Godwin. Day Trader Trios in the house. We're brought to you by Prudential. Let Prudential be your rock for retirement. Also brought to you by Bayer Advanced. Better science, better results. Starbucks Coffee is a sponsor. Of course, Bloomin' Brands. And there are many restaurants. And let's not forget Taylor Guitars. Right here in sunny San Diego. We're at 80 million homes across the country on Biz Television Network, American Life Network, Bloomberg, and American Forces Network in 175 countries and all the ships at sea. Mike Logozzo is the CEO of a company called reAlpha Tech Corp. They are publicly traded under the stock symbol AIRE. They are building a next-gen, vertically integrated real estate technology company that leverages AI.
Yes.
Right? It's an end-to-end home buying platform.
This is genius.
That pays you back. What's up, dude? Good to see you. Oh, hang on. That's my fault. I didn't have a. I have to say, when I heard from one of your shareholders, I think, that we should be talking to you, we started conducting a little diligence, and I thought, you know what? This is exactly where real estate is going. Talk about what you guys do, and welcome to the program.
Thank you again. So you summed it up well. I mean, we've created this vertically integrated home buying platform that is powered by AI and designed for people. And really what I mean by that is the home buying journey today is really a bunch of different layers by a bunch of different providers, right? You go through a traditional realtor, then mortgage, then title. You have to follow the realtor process, then the mortgage process, and the title process. And I like to refer to it as the gauntlet. And what we've done is we've put the home buyer in the center of our process, and we've taken realty and mortgage and title, and we've kind of made it around the home buyer as the center. And utilizing AI, we create a lot of efficiencies, and we allow our humans behind the scenes to focus on what they do best.
I think what's interesting here is it was purpose built for this, which is interesting. Instead of I think about digital marketing, and every ad agency in the world suddenly called themselves a digital marketing agency, and it took a while for actually digital marketing agencies to come from scratch. You guys built this purposely, correct?
That's correct, and I like to refer to it as purpose-built versus patchwork. You are seeing people out there in the space. There's some big players out there. For example, Rocket. Obviously, they're huge in mortgage. They moved up in the process, with Redfin and Mr. Cooper. Zillow's trying to move back. But these are really, really large companies. And, I've worked at BMW for 18 years, and it's also a large company. And I can tell you, these big companies have big processes and a lot of people and a lot of technologies. And sometimes it's hard to stitch it all together. Being purpose-built means we're doing it from the ground up.
Yeah.
Well, Mike, I feel like you're bringing this process of buying a home to the 21st century and to the digital age, because it's such a daunting task, number one, and long and drawn out, and so many people and so many things.
The only thing that was worse is going to a car dealership and spending 3 hours in that little room.
Right, but this is, I bought a home many years ago, but it was so many things to have to do.
Well, when you get a pit in your stomach, you think in terms of having to do your taxes, going to buy a car, and getting a mortgage. You know it's going to be a time suck.
Right.
And this is the difference, right?
It is. And, coming from the car industry, I studied Carvana. And, Carvana, they kind of took a process that was, basically what you just, explained, sitting in those used car dealership offices and having to go talk to their manager and coming back to you. And, they took it online. And, we're looking to do the same thing when buying a house. Now, granted, it's a little bit more complicated, but we think we're onto something, and we're really excited about where we're at and where we're headed.
So we're on your website here looking at the screener. I want you to take us through the difference here, because it really is an enterprise-wide solution. And then at the very end is called Get Thousands Back at Closing. We've got to spend some time on that. But talk us through the difference between what we do now and then using your platform.
Absolutely. So a customer could come on our platform really two different ways. What we're finding is some people are coming on more of a traditional search. I find my home, and then I want to, move on and talk to an agent, talk to mortgage. We're also finding that people are coming in mortgage first. They maybe want to get pre-approved and see what they could afford, and then go shopping. So we kind of have two entry points that are coming into the process. Let's talk about the traditional realty. Somebody who finds a home online, they could either find it on our platform, or gosh, if they want to go look on Zillow and bring it over, they could paste the link in and we'll take it from there, because we want people who are high intent that are looking to get a rebate. And the way our platform works is because we have realty, mortgage, and title, think about a vertical platform where you have one customer that you kind of put at the top and drop all the way through. Those customer acquisition costs that were once, a realtor had a customer acquisition cost, a mortgage lender had a customer acquisition cost, and a title provider had a customer acquisition cost, you're dividing that up now. So the savings that we're generating, we're essentially passing that on to the customer, so they could then get a rebate back. And we take it one step further. We give them a choice as to how they want to use it. Do they want to use it as cash at closing? Do they want to use it as part of their down payment? Or even better today, right? Do they want to use it to buy down their interest rate? Because interest rates are really high right now. And because we own all of it, we have that flexibility.
Hey, Mike, let's you got a $3 trillion plus market. You've got this, as you said, purpose-built for the modern home buyer. And let's talk about the acquisition. Great press release that came out today. And that acquisition was for Preview. Or is it Preview or Preview? One of the two. But that's a digital home buying platform as well, which escalated you into more markets. Is that part of the, first of all, tell us about that, but secondly, is that part of the plan, an acquisition plan that just exponentially grows the business to where you can white label what you're doing into an existing platform?
We're looking at both organic and inorganic growth. What we found, particularly on the realty front, is even if we want to go into states, it's not a state-by-state organic growth, it's county-by-county within states. So, in order for us to go into Texas, for example, yes, you can get your Texas license, but you need to get like 37 IDX feeds or something like that in order to get the inventory to come into your platform. And it takes a heck of a long time to do. So we said, hey, look, if there's a faster way to do it inorganically through acquisitions and allow us to get into these states and county levels faster, let's do it. So, the Preview acquisition is a prime example of us saying, hey, look, we could have organically gone into 12 states and DC. Might have taken a little bit more time. Yeah, it might have been cheaper, but there's also an opportunity cost there as well that goes along with that. And, we're telling our shareholders that we want to grow, and this was a way for us to do it quick.
Mike Logozzo is the CEO of reAlpha. Their stock symbol AIRE. Mike, will you come back with us sometime, man? It's really interesting to talk to you, and I think this is really where real estate's going. I appreciate your help. Go to their website, reAlpha.com, and that does it for us. Big Biz Show, bigbizshow.com. Find us everywhere online, on television, on the radio.
Podcast, Spotify, Apple Music.
You guys have a great Thanksgiving.